All right. So wait. So yeah, Ezra Miller is back at it again. He, I mean, the man has a cult. The man has beaten people,
Now,
but
it
but he's still the Flash.
has something happened since? Oh, you mean the fact that he got signed again, or is probably going
Well,
to?
at least he hasn't been taken off the project, which is it's
It is.
crazy.
It is crazy. The second, I mean, all kinds of famous people do all kinds of really crazy shit, but the second the word cult enters enters the sentence, it's always a little bit amazing that we just sort of give that a pass, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, yeah, it's almost become normalized. Like, oh, that's a cult. That's a cult. That's a cult. It's like, yes, but not all cults are equal. All right. Like cults have different
I
ways.
guess
Like
I guess
like
this
there's
is
a
unconfirmed
pyramid
so
scheme
far, isn't
cult,
it?
and then there's what he's doing.
Yeah. Do we know more about what that is with him? I'm
I
so
don't
curious now.
really know, but I also know that he was like a predator to like this girl when she was very young, and we're giving that
Oh
a
yes,
pass too.
yes. I heard about this.
Why are we
That's right.
why with him? Like
So she's
with
she's the daughter. She's the daughter of some climate
of an
activists, some
activist, of a
Native
native
American
activist.
Oh, Native activist. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. How did he even get
How are
involved
you
there? How does he even know her?
how are you grooming someone and fighting for water at the same time? I mean, that alone is like
It's
you've
very
got to be some
confusing.
kind of I don't. Yeah, so he's still the Flash though.
I guess
I mean,
it takes all kinds to hate a pipeline.
that's a different kind of pipeline he's trying to create. Pipeline to some really serious shit. Uh,
Some
yeah,
really
but
serious federal charges.
yeah, some fucking FBI open up. But I guess part of me is also like I hate to say it like this, but it is the Flash. If he was a different superhero, I bet you he
Oh,
couldn't
dude,
do it.
I'm not much for comic books,
Me neither.
but man, if you're gonna give a pass to somebody playing any superhero, why this weak ass one? Even my dad was a huge comic nerd, and even when I was a kid, my dad was like, "Everybody does cool shit." Then there's just the Flash, and I was like, "Dad, I'm like 10." but he was right. The Flash fucking sucks.
He was fast. That was it.
Cool.
He yeah, it was fucking distraction while everybody else did the work. I don't know. Anyway, it's wild the exceptions we make. But you're listening to the Brolic, the New York history podcast, inspired by the Dollop, the unofficial New York extension to the Dollop, where
YouTube copyright strike in three, two.
unofficial, sprinkling allegedly, sprinkling
Sprinkling,
allegedly,
sprinkling, allegedly,
sprinkling, sprinkling,
unofficial, allegedly.
where I, outer borough extraordinaire, rider of the triflin, and pay for the triflin, which goes up every year for more shitty service, more shitty triflin service. Tell a
From the
story
Metro
to my
Trifling Authority.
to the triflin authority. Tell stories to my now Bart homie, Bart adjacent homie, out on the West Coast,
Chris, who has no idea what the story is going to
who
be
has no
about.
idea story is coming on. I just realized I keep calling myself I. I don't think I've ever introduced myself on this show. I, Evan Mastronardi, to Chris.
There you
So
go.
yes. All right. So 5 episodes in now, I've introduced myself.
Now we know
So
your name.
yes, and we were talking about Ezra Miller because we
Drop,
talked about
drop
him.
them digits next. Drop the social next. Where can we find you? Where can
Uh,
Miller find you?
find me in a flash. I'll give him. I gotta check mipone.com to see
Yeah.
to see if he
Ez
found me yet.
is already waiting outside your window.
Yeah, but I can never see him though
Oh,
because he
he's
always
ready to
disappears.
throw. He's ready to throw
Ezra,
a fucking chair at your head or whatever the fuck it is that he does recently.
I mean, the Flash really can be an absolute philanderer when you think about it. Like the Flash could, because it's like you know they always show
Philanderer.
philanderer. Yes, you know there. It's always like the guy trying to wake up in the middle of the night, leaving half the time, and all that. He's the Flash. He's gonna go in between women's. He could have two dates at once. He could just go between women's cribs. Actually, but that sounds like a horrible attribute for Ezra Miller. So he really shouldn't.
Isn't it? Isn't it Wanda Sykes who's got a joke about how every man's dream is two women in bed, and their whole thing is like, you already disappoint one woman.
You already disappoint one,
you greedy motherfuckers want to disappoint two?
but I'll find number three in a flash. That's it. That's the thing. He's so fast. Statistics.
Well, so far the only thing we've got evidence for is him abducting children. So
Yes. So he's used none of this. Um. So yeah. So more about that chronicle as it develops, but we talked about it on an extra part. So yeah, today's episode obviously not brought to you by the Flash. Today's
brought to you by absolutely no one.
by we said absolutely nothing, absolute nothing before, but now we're gonna say absolute no one. The newer, um, the the newer spirit from absolute unofficial. No one. You didn't know space. Now you don't know anyone. Before it was nothing. Now it's no one.
We are the brown Listerine of podcast sponsoring.
I-
It's all been
I feel-
erased.
What's that movie you took me to, Stalker?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Yeah.
I feel like we're getting closer and closer then. You know, absolute nothing, absolute no one. At some point, it's just gonna be whatever the fuck Stalker was, and that's
We're just gonna
be. Because I still don't know what that is, but it's something.
Today's episode is
Absolute
brought to you by modern Russian philosophy.
Well, maybe we'll be hacked by them enough that we will be brought to you by modern Russian philosophy one day. Okay. 1999. The year of our Lord.
It was a good year.
1999,
I remember a
year-
few things about it.
The year of our Lord and Purple Savior, Prince Rogers Nilsson, who came out with 1999 well before 1999. What has happened? Wilt Chamberlain has passed away. Y2K is approaching. And
Dude.
Stanley... Yeah, you remember Y2K?
Oh my god, I loved hearing about it because that was the first time. That was the first time I knew that you could turn on the TV and have a whole lot of people lie to you.
And boy, did that not prepare you for what would really happen. Like, those lies weren't even as... Back then, at least, you can make an excuse for, well, information wasn't disseminating the same way it could. People didn't know computers as much. Now, that like, no.
We should have known. The interesting thing is that they were actually right. It was an enormous problem, and a lot of people worked really hard to solve it. And then afterwards, everybody was like, "Well, it was bullshit. That didn't mean anything." And it's like, yeah, it didn't mean anything because they fixed it. things are going all right. But none of the people talking about it knew what the hell was going on. They were just like, "Holy shit, computers!" I'm like, yeah, computers. Scary.
Wasn't it? But like, there was something very, like, dreadful. Like there was this sense of dread that.
Yeah, well, people thought like the fucking nukes were going to launch at midnight and shit like that.
That what would launch? Sorry.
People were saying like, "Oh, the nukes are going to fucking launch at midnight."
Yeah.
And shit like that. And it's just like, all right, you don't. I mean, you just don't get it.
I thought they were like I thought like all the fucking Windows 95 were supposed to get up on their hind keyboard and kill us or something.
Yeah, Skynet.
I thought that, or you lose all your data, and all the guys that had just learned how to get prawns were like freaking
Man,
out.
no one knew what data was in 1999.
They had floppy disks. That was
No one
something.
knew what data was in 1999.
Well, we had floppy disks
wow,
that
you
weren't
can-
floppy.
you can fit a whole half the Bible on this floppy disk. Like, yeah, okay, great.
Oh my god. So, Y2K also for work hard, buffs and the Y2K Bonneville. I remember that heathen of a car. Shit was my fucking couch on like 18-inch wheels. Um,
That's
I
a
don't I don't know
that's
if
a
you
deep.
remember that.
That's a no. That's a deep. I don't have any idea what you're talking about right
The
now.
the Pontiac Y2K Bonneville.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
It was an enormous car. Back when people liked full-size sedans, like just for the sake of it being big, not even to carry shit. I mean, I guess maybe if you're in the mob. But aside from that, like it wasn't, for like to carry a bunch of shit, have the seats fold down. It was just a big car with a big trunk and a big engine making huge turns, doing 7.5 miles per gallon.
7.5 gallons per mile. Um, I mean, it looks. I, I I can't tell from the pictures because, like everything else made during this era, it looks like a fucking melted crayon. So I don't quite see it, but I believe you.
Well, I mean, you don't get the proportions, but the person that lived across from me had this well past Y2K, well past NBA 2K, well past all the 2Ks. I mean, I think it was like Obama's second term before the guy finally said, "All right, we're done with the Y2K Bonneville." You know.
Jesus Christ.
Uh, he bailed a bunch of cars out. Maybe I should get something different. Um, so Stanley Talouis was a sophomore at Holy Cross High School in Flushing, Queens. For those who don't know, Flushing is where the New York Mets play. Stanley is a big, big Mets fan. He has a tattoo of the Mets on his chest. The story begins where many high school stories do, in
That's a
the
strong stance to
cafeteria.
take.
Yeah.
That's a very strong stance to take. It's not every day you meet someone with a sports team tattooed onto them. I'm glad you chose the Mets though, because the one guy I met who had a Yankees thing tattooed onto him was a colossal dick.
Well, yeah, Yankees fans, when we tattoo things, it's not usually good. We don't usually send our
You
best.
can't you can't be you can't be the evil empire of baseball and then have that tattooed on you without looking like a baseball skinhead.
Like, yeah, you can't, because Yankees. The thing about the Yankees is that while they're players, you have all these cool players like Jeter and Judge who are just suave. The fans, not so much. The fans are pretty much in your in your face. They don't exactly understand understatement that much.
The problem is that it's very easy to be a Yankees fan because they got all the money.
Well,
Everybody
this
does
is
it,
where I've
and the
always
whole world
disagreed.
the whole world owns a hat. I mean, it's hard. It's hard in that you have sky high expectations, and then
That's
you fail
that's
to meet
very
them
hard.
nearly every time.
That it's extremely hard because statistically you're always going to be disappointed. But
Yes,
Stan's got the tattoo on his chest to remind him anytime, he's a Mets fan, the Mets are him. Just like I'm in the Bronx where the Yankees play, Stan's in Flushing where the Mets play. I believe he moved now, but that's where he spent a long time of his life.
can't take
So
Flushing out
yes.
of the man.
No. Uh So story begins, many high school stories do, in the cafeteria. It's so true. The cafeteria, like, it's one of the first things I think about in high, because the cafeteria is like that moment of Darwinism in your middle school experience. Like it's so kind of funny when you think about it. You have all this structure. You have like the different subjects you have to study, and then for like 1.5 hours, it's you in the fucking natural selection.
It's just a wide ecosystem.
And then you just go right back to learning
You're expected to
pre-algebra.
pretend that shit didn't even happen, and
To
I
pretend,
gotta learn
yeah,
about some.
to pretend a brick didn't whiz by my head. I mean, even at a young age, I was like, oh, that probably could have been it. And there's a
Yep.
lot of shit I didn't do yet. So because I'm like, it's kind of like in the dollop when they're like 7 and they have many jobs. Like, because it takes place in fucking 1780. So it's like, I don't know. There were certain points where I
Just
felt
got
like,
the coal mine.
So there were certain points where that's how it felt like in school, because we had so many ops for those who don't know New York slang for like enemies, people fucking with you. It was like there were just so many ops. I mean, most kids had it worse than me, but you still had to be, about, and then you just go back from that to
Head on a swivel,
fucking
man. It's
test
almost
prep.
prison rules in there.
Yeah. So in the cafeteria, this particular day, Stan had lunch with the juniors. So he's in high school, and he's a sophomore, and he's having lunch with the juniors. That's what I did too. Actually, this is middle school though. I had lunch in I think seventh and eighth grade. Me and Rudy. I don't know how this happened. It's almost like after a certain point, whoever's at your lunch table, that's it. So we had lunch with special ed, and special ed was like ages 7 to like 28 in middle school.
Man, what the hell? Where the hell did you go to school?
I went across the street at PS 95, but it was like you had kids that I don't think it's like the joke when the guy comes to like the high school baseball team and you're like this man has children and pays taxes. He
Yeah,
does
yeah,
not.
yeah. And then
That's
he
it. Like
he
that's how I
unravel
felt
his
with.
little bit of construction paper. It says, "I am 12."
That's how it was with special because we're so bad with education that we lump so many people together with differently able people who are different, also physically like different sizes. And if you have behavioral issues as well, like plus the different ages, it's just a mess. But anyway, I just remember Rudy and I sitting at the table with them and they were always cracking jokes. So Stan was there, he's a sophomore and he's with juniors. Um so his friend Ian is with him. So Stan says we used to call him Ian Midnight because, quote, Stan's words, quote, at the time he was the only person in school darker than I was, and that's why they called
Oof.
him Midnight. Uh, so now Stan can't
That's
remember. I mean,
no, no further. I have no jokes to make here.
we're yeah. I mean, I grew up hearing this not obviously about me, but about people around me too. And as for some people it may be fun, for some people it's actually really traumatizing. So so now Stan anyway, he can't remember exactly how this all started, but as happens in very rowdy cafeterias like I grew up in as well, there's a food fight. Now this started almost innocently enough. It's lunch and someone threw a mustard packet.
You
That's
know, now I think that's a cop out. I don't
right.
I don't believe my school ever had, well, my grade at least never had a food fight. But I know damn well that if I'm going to start it, it's got to be a mess. Like if we're not talking about a bowl of soup to open it up, to open that
Right.
pit up, it's not. You're not doing it right. That better be like the loosest sandwich. Like
Right.
I want to see an individual tomato ring flying across into a corner where the rest of the sandwich didn't go. You know what I mean?
You basically want it to turn into a salad. Like you
Yeah.
don't. It won't even resemble a sandwich by the time it gets where it
We
needs to
can
go.
if you're trying to do this, that thing better achieve fucking lift.
Yeah. That should have better have drag on it.
That's right.
Fucking.
So a ketchup packet is just kind of like, all right, well, you tried, but okay, this gets it started.
It starts with a packet. Now. Right. So someone threw a packet. Maybe it was a sad attempt. Maybe it was meant in whatever, not with too much animosity. But so now Midnight gets mad and he throws one back.
Was now he was
And
hit.
so he was hit
He
and he
took he
threw
took
it
he took a
back.
packet for the president.
Yeah, he tried to get the pack back to the source, but he thinks he hit the wrong person. Um, no, it was the wrong person. Oh, he thinks it was
In,
the wrong person because he's not sure if this person
in
actually threw
post-event
it.
news interviews, he's not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's like when
He's
there was the Kennedy
not being sure if he
assassination.
hit the right person or not would make him a great, by the way, candidate for NYPD, just in case he's thinking about a
Oh,
career change.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, your accuracy COD spread does not need to be anything above, 15%.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
killing it. Yeah, it might have hit the wrong person, but feared for my life. Mustard coming in hot. I mean,
So
And
he whips it at somebody else, and he might hit the wrong person.
yes, yes. Like I'm thinking of like when they reassess like the shot that killed Kennedy, like with the fucking like pointers and shit. I just think of Danny and Midnight and Stan just all around the lunchroom as grown adults trying to point out where they think where their spot that they
Mustard,
believe it came from.
the mustard splatter analysis.
Yeah, yeah, and that it's on cold case. This random motherfucker from like Montana who's an expert in fucking mustard and ketchup, fucking condiment splatter.
The ketchup splatter analysis team.
There was a second shooter. There was a second mustard packet.
Someone manned the squeeze bottle
Yeah.
across the cafeteria. No one noticed him.
I mean, I threw the packet, but not at you. It was the mustard from the bottle that came in, and they happened at the same time. It was a setup.
Yeah, yeah. Tell it to the judge.
It's up to the judge. It's gonna be. Yeah. So then, so he thinks it was the wrong person. This is a junior named Danny. So Stan gives a side here, completely irrelevant. But Danny's last name was Sosa, but he's very white passing. He's very light skinned, and Stan remembers not being sure if he was white or Hispanic. He reminds us that during that time, this was 23 years ago, by the way. Um, during that, so over a decade and 2 decades and a few years. So during this time, basically, yeah, 1999, there weren't terms like Latinx back in those days. So he's actually says he may have called him something else that worse than that, but we're not gonna go there. So anyway, so Danny and Midnight get face to face. They're about to scrap, and then someone breaks it up. Okay, so mustard vengeance is not had
That's good.
during this time.
I'm glad
Yeah.
everyone walked away without having to fight a geopolitical battle over the flying mustard packet. That's good.
For now. For now.
For now,
Uh,
I can only wonder as to what happens next.
it's the round has been paused. They're going to their sides. They're going to their sides where you get the napkins and the fucking
All right, good throw,
whatever.
Ian. Good throw. Good throw. Now cut his eye.
So yeah, so it's broken up. Now Midnight and Stan live in the same area, just like a town apart. And Stan understands that at this time, Midnight is making calls. He's making calls in the neighborhood for, as Stan puts it, hoodlums to show up to the school. Uh, Danny must have found out. This must have come in through the wire that, hey, he's making calls. He's trying to roll deep. And now Danny is calling people. And but Stan is wondering how did they have cell phones? And I'm wondering this too because I'm thinking this is at home from a landline, but
Oh,
these are
absolutely.
cell
That's the
phones.
first place I went. No, these are
Yeah,
cell phones. You say?
these are cell phones.
Wow. That's
So
I think pretty hard to come by in 1999.
maybe it was a burner. Maybe they had burners back then for because they knew they'd
I
have a market among like the nefarious types who wanted to
I don't
get away and not be tracked.
I forget honestly. I don't even remember. I mean, maybe we're talking beepers. I don't remember even seeing this. I remember one cell phone pre like 2007
No, there was some. I mean, I remember the
or
sidekicks even were
3.
like, yeah, 2000. I would say 2003, 2004, 1999 is very early. I would be interested what the hell they had, but Stan believes they had phones of some kind. So anyway,
Everything before the Motorola Razr took up like half a backpack of space. You know what I mean?
well, the BlackBerry came before that, right? Yeah, the BlackBerry was around. Because I remember
I don't.
lawyers were going ham over the BlackBerry.
Yeah, but I think that was later.
Not after the Razr.
I think that was when they figured out that like having a whole keyboard might be a good idea if you want to do things like I don't know, write an email. Like having lawyers write write legal advice into their emails with T non texting was probably a pretty bad idea.
Well, I thought that the BlackBerry and the Sidekick preceded the Razr. But anyway, we could find that out later. Maybe it was one of those. Maybe it was the prehistoric edition of Boost Mobile. Who knows? um, so so yeah, they're making these calls, and school ended at 212. And Stan saying, being the native New Yorker that I am, he immediately heads to the pizzeria across the street. He gives a shout out. Uh, I don't know if they say the real Italian way or the other way, but anyway, I'll say Matezi. Matezi Pizzeria on Francis Lewis Boulevard. He says solid slice 1010. Would recommend. I trust Stan's recommendation. I don't know if they're still there, but okay. So now I should. Oh no, I'll give the background in a bit because so he said he used to hang out there, get a slice, and play. I don't know this game. Maybe you do. Metal Slug.
Are you kidding me? You don't know Metal Slug?
No, I don't know Metal
Oh my
Slug.
god, we were raised in different goddamn worlds. Now I
I
wish Stan
played
was here.
I played. Okay, so save that one. Save that one. And save that. I don't think the chopped cheese is as good as people say. I think the bacon, egg, and cheese is better. This is something else that he argues with me about. Save those two for when we talk to Stan, and we'll litigate that.
Now wait a
But what?
minute.
But
I don't believe I copped to this opinion. Who says that the chopped cheese is worse than the bacon egg and cheese?
I believe the chopped cheese is worse than the bacon, egg, and cheese is a classic. I think the chopped cheese, it's a very specific mood, at least that I have to be in, to want to have a ground beef sandwich that is not a burger.
I will ignite this conversation between the three of us when the time
Have
comes.
fun. Have fun.
Until then, and you're gonna lose. Until then.
I won't lose because I already won the flats. I already got my man Damon Young behind me, and that's all that matters. Um, but wait, Chris and I have a disagreement about flats versus drums. Um, so okay. So wait, so Metal Slug, I'm like, so tell me about it. It was a classic game. I remember Marvel versus Capcom. This is all I remember at the pizza shop. Marvel
Yeah,
versus Capcom.
Marvel vs. Capcom was a big one. But Metal Slug was a side scroller. It was like you had a gun. It's kind of like you remember Contra, real throwback.
I think. Oh,
I don't
but
think you ever
that
saw
was
Contra.
very old.
Burial. That was like pre. We were born
But
in the
wait,
Super Nintendo era. Contra was
what
like Nintendo,
wasn't that like
early Nintendo.
ships? Wasn't that ships firing
No,
stuff? It
no.
wasn't?
Contra was also a side scroller. But anyway.
Okay.
This is a side. It was like it was you versus like tanks and other enemies, and sometimes there's aliens thrown into. I think there's usually aliens in
All
fucking
right.
Metal Slug games. Oh, dude, it's a friggin' boatload of fun. In fact, next time I see you, we're playing that somehow.
All right. I'll I'll put it on my Bojangles box. That's what, because Chris got this for me, so that's what I call my Series X. So I'll put it on that, and we'll see how it runs. It would be cool. It sounds like it'd be really cool if it had insanely realistic graphics all of a sudden. Like, could you think of an insanely realistic Pac-Man? I almost think that's terrifying.
Oh, that's actually the worst thing you've ever told me.
I think
I
they
would
could.
never want to see that.
I wouldn't either. I just thought of it. I was like, wow, that
An
could be like a
insanely
horror.
realistic. And you want to watch a big fat man run down a
I
hallway
don't.
using as
I
many
just
eyes as he can.
I really don't actually. I just thought it was terrifying. It just popped into my head. But because I thought
That's
about
awful.
playing these things on the Series X. All right, well, I have an imagination. Jesus Christ. So so okay, so he's playing this game. Okay, so now this is what I want to do. Okay, so he said he would do this before he got on the Q76. I don't care what numbers and letters you throw together. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be a piece of shit bus. Why? They're all pieces of shit. The only bus in New York City that is reasonable is the crosstown buses, because enough people of different incomes take those for convenience to get through Central Park. That's it. Every other bus, piece of shit. So I'm sure this
Yeah.
one was too. I feel bad. Stan has a whole other bit about taking the bus, just like me. We both have our laments about it. But anyway, so
I'll
for those who
have to
don't
track that
know,
down because I have no notes there.
that what?
I full agreement. I have no notes.
Yeah.
Every bus
Um,
I ever took in New York City made me want to put a gun in my fucking mouth.
it's just okay. So he's not here. He'll say it better than me. But there is an element of it that's worse than the subway, because in the subway, you are all in the same situation. And you have no traffic. It's either you're not moving at all or you're moving at 60 miles an hour, or like there's a slight problem with the bus, you could be moving at 5 miles an hour. You could see like five different lights like change in front of you and not go anywhere. You see everybody else seeing you on the bus. The only thing that's worse than that is actually waiting for the bus in the cold and seeing the people in the cars see you wait for
I
the
was gonna
bus
say,
when
I was
there's
gonna
no
say, you're,
shelter, when there's nothing over, especially. Like, yeah, I know, I'm in this situation. Okay, move
yeah,
on in your
you're
Toyota
really,
Highlander.
you're really surrounded by an advertisement for not being on the bus.
Right, right. The lack thereof of a
Yeah.
covering is that.
Ugh.
Um, so he gets on the bus to Jamaica, and for those who don't know, Jamaica Queens is a very, very far away special place. No, not Jamaica, the island, but Jamaica Queens, still very far away. Um, I could probably make a reasonable dent in the trip to Jamaica, the country, in the same amount of time I could get to Jamaica from the Bronx taking public transportation. There are
And
two
many other
trains,
places in the
oh,
world.
and many other places, correct, like far Bumble Rockaway. I mean, holy shit. Uh, that's like another state. I could get to Delaware probably. I mean, the thing is, to get to Jamaica, I had this experience once. There's two trains, I believe, that are both the same. This is what would confuse the shit out of people. There's two A trains that both go in that direction. They're both the A, but they have different stops. That alone would fuck you up. And it's like one little thing on the train that indicates where the final stop is, and it's not written entirely around the train. So it's the A train, it's stopping in the same place, it has a different destination. So that's just one of the
Yeah,
many ways you could get fucked up going to Jamaica.
that's nuts.
So yeah, very far away, where JFK is, where the airport is.
Yep.
Um,
Not a fun trip.
not a fun trip. And okay, so now he's given some extra background. It's important to know that the Q76, the bus that Stan takes, runs along Francis Lewis Boulevard, which is one of the longest streets in Queens, in two directions. One going towards Jamaica and one going towards Whitestone. So yes, the Whitestone Bridge is actually the bridge that connects the Bronx to Queens, and I almost went there when I was trying to get something from UPS, and I was like, "Oh no, no, we are not in UPS anymore." Um, so it's very easy to get lost in Whitestone.
I'm
So
imagining
so
you
Fred,
carrying a big ass package onto the bus, all the way from
worse,
goddamn Queens.
worse. I didn't get the package at this point. I was this close to going to Queens without even the package. I'm just on the bus now for the shit of it, and that's it. And you know what? When I found out where the UPS
Everything if that
place,
happened to me.
when I found out where the UPS place was, I wish I did go to Whitestone because it was in like the a place in the Bronx that like people forgot. Oh, this exists. Let's put a UPS
Yeah.
here.
What neighborhood?
I think it was off Throgs Neck. Maybe it
Yeah,
was
dude.
like it
See
was
that
like
that's the
Throgs
kind of
Neck
trip.
Country Club.
I had some moments when I was on just a subway where I was like, man, if I get all the way there and this doesn't pan out, I am like for sure moving to Wyoming after this. I'm over it.
I mean, there's as many people in Wyoming as there is in probably all of Throgs Neck or Far Rockaway.
I believe
Um,
that.
yeah. So it's yes, it's separated by a median. So here's what happens with the separation. There's black people on one side going towards Jamaica, and this is Stan setting like the grouping. There's black people generally going towards Jamaica, and white people generally going towards Whitestone. So Stan's Haitian, by the way, and so he's in the pizzeria, minding his own business. Now he decides time to go home. He steps outside, looks to his left, and he sees nothing but white kids, all of whom don't even attend his high school. He then looks to the right and sees, in his word caps, a lot of black people, most of which also don't go to his high school, Holy Cross. So it looks like the calls worked. Whatever beeper, call, landline, whatever they did, looks like it worked. Because there's motherfuckers that got no attendance that are showing
The
up.
the AIM messages that went out found their recipients just fine.
The fucking chat rooms back in the day when
Yeah.
there was fucking those sus AOL chat rooms. Um, like fucking White Knight race hoarder of Whitestone 39. I mean, that's who fucking started this, and now all the crews rolling up. But it looks like they they might be outnumbered. I can't tell from this if who has more on their side, but
I think when you get to a big enough brawl, who
yeah,
has more numbers barely matters.
yeah,
Because at some point, friendly fire is going to enter the arena. You know what I
right.
mean?
It's just
And
chaos.
no, the people who don't want to be there aren't really going to have a chance to leave anymore. Yeah, it's
Well,
just chaos. It's just going to be a yard full of people hitting the shit out of each other.
right. And if it's any with the accuracy of how white people mosh, it's already not going well. You know, because somehow even at point blank range, there's inaccuracy there in mosh pits with like the moving and the kicking and everything.
I think that's the point there.
Yeah. Uh. All right. Well, certainly been made. Um. So Stan realizes that he's on the wrong side of the fucking street. He is not on the side with, you know, the rest of his crew. He is on the other side with all the fucking pre pre fuck pre fucking Charlottesville squad. The mob. For all we knew, they had, I don't know, whatever came before tiki torches.
I was going to say tiki torches.
Yeah, but
I got nothing.
so
I don't know.
I don't even know what to replace that with. They lit a, I don't
Used to
know, they
not
lit
be this much of a movement and more of an organization you heard about every now and again.
they they lit their Taylor shoes on fire. I don't fucking know. So they're rolling up. He's on the wrong side. Uh, so Stan is in the pizzeria playing Iron Slug uh, during the time of the race war. Like, that's when he realizes this is about to go down. This is where he is. He's in the pizzeria. He's on the wrong side of the street. He has decisions to make.
Mhm.
So he sees some friends motioning from him to cross the street. So Stan has to go through enemy lines. He's like, he runs across,
Damn,
does it.
he just waltzed right in there by accident, huh? Got right into the thick of it before he noticed what the fuck was happening. Oh my
Maybe he
god.
could have, maybe he could have acted like he was, like a Ben Carson or Clarence Thomas supporter, and they would have been like, "Oh yeah," and then later forgot who he was.
Oh god.
But actually, he did something like that. So he runs across, but he says people are chanting, and I quote, "Mighty tighty whiteys."
Man.
If there was ever a
Man.
rallying cry.
More than they knew, you know? More than they knew.
Uh, well, you know, white people, aside from a few exceptions, white people were never exactly the best with rhythm, rhyme, or hip hop. So Stan likes to rhyme, so he joins in. He says, so he joins in. He is he is saying this with them, which I find hilarious.
Wait a
He's
second.
probably confusing the shit out of
The
them.
white people? Wait a minute. The white people are yelling mighty tiny whiteys?
That's what I think. I'm gonna confirm
The-
with them tomorrow, but the way he wrote it, they're chanting this with pride.
I can't even begin. I can't. I can't. Okay. Fine. Jesus Christ. Not like
So Stan,
this.
so Stan joins in. He's saying, he's saying the mighty tidy whities too, which is probably confusing the shit out of them, like the Clayton Bigsby episode of Chappelle's Show. So finally he gets to midnight, and then he gets to his side, and he says, "Midnight and Danny meet in the middle of Francis Lewis Boulevard, facing off like Riff and Bernardo from West Side Story. Except one of them is a mighty tighty whitey."
Oh God.
So they start fighting. He says more like wrestling. Uh, and after all that, thankfully, it was a big lead up. For those who wanted to see something on pay-per-view, they'll be disappointed. A few teachers come, break it up. Uh, Now they all get on the next bus to avoid trouble, but I find this hilarious. Little did they know that their principal was waiting in the bus for them. He said, "Sneaky some bitch went down a few stops before to catch us when we would get on the bus." Could you imagine getting on the bus and like your principal just fucking holding court on the bus in front of everybody else, just
His
airing
desk is
you
in there
out?
and everything. He's got the paperwork to suspend you.
He stole the fucking token booth. He stole the token booth from the fucking subway station and put it in the middle. Oh my god. I mean, I would. You think you are detached from school during that time, but no. So he catches them. Presumably, they get. He didn't write what the punishment was. This is something we'll ask him tomorrow. But this is how Stan avoided a race war by loving pizza, loving arcade games, using his sense of humor, and the fight just being a dub. And the biggest fight really happening was the principal basically setting up Office Max on the Q79.
I
It's on
imagine he's like getting
Q76.
tossed back and forth on the rolling chair, like the bus
Like, oh, the
is.
bus is moving. Because it's already funny, and this has happened to me, but it's still funny when you see it happen to someone else, because you don't get any motherfucking time to put your Metro card away and find a seat before it accelerates. So if
No,
you're
no,
on a rolling
he's everywhere.
chair, if
We're
you're on a
already
rolling chair,
late.
just forget
Really, everybody in there should be on their own little rolly chair, and then we all get to play autonomous bumper cars.
it. Fucking absolute cacophony, just people rolling around everywhere. It's like that's made the fucking strongest survive. But so um that's what happened. Uh I don't know if it's had part 2 or 3 since. I don't know if there have been, Rocky 4 and 5 versions of this. But this at least was a chapter in the history of yeah, of that area
Well,
of nearly
I'm
starting a race war.
I'm glad Stan got out alive. I'm glad I'm glad he managed to wade through the shallows without any harm befalling him. Sounds like
I
in the
mean,
grand scheme of things, everything worked out okay here.
it did.
And I
And I
can't wait
feel
to
like
ask him who
there's
won.
yeah, I don't it almost sounds like nobody won and nobody does win in a race war
No, no one does, except for the principal.
except for the principal.
The principal who's already waiting for you to wrap up,
I,
get on the
I
bus.
mean, this guy he cuz look, you're going to catch a bus. You have to catch the right bus at the right time. There's so many variables here. So the fact that he timed it right to me is brilliant.
Yeah, how many things needed to happen for that to line up properly? You know?
Right. I mean, is he watching the fight with the binoculars? Is he I think maybe he got the other teachers to break it up. They sent him a code signal to his fucking Boost Mobile. And then he may have communicated with them. Who knows? But just the thought of the person, because at that time it's almost like I said, school is this weird thing where you have your education, it's very structured, and then you have moments of significant fucking anarchy. And cafeterias anarchy in public school, recesses anarchy, after school, the immediate time after school, because there's after school and then there's after school.
Yeah.
After school is anarchy. When you get home, hopefully you don't have anarchy. Some of us still would have. But hopefully once you get home, it's okay. But the after school, why we have after school programs, is specifically to prevent race wars in the median of Jamaica.
I'm a little. I have to admit, I'm a little bit amazed. Everybody managed to. It sounds like just walk away from this. I mean, to get a gathering, you put a gathering together. You get
Right.
that many people together. Usually, some shit just starts happening. It's not
Usually,
often. It's not often a crowd keeps itself away from itself. I guess in my mind, at least.
I mean, this is also why it's good we have gun laws in New York, because not that they always are effective, but I'm sure things would have been a lot worse if we didn't, because then it only takes one motherfucker to have access, and this goes haywire.
Sure.
Uh, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I gotta find the I gotta find the inside take here. It seemed like it kind of ultimately felt like a baseball fight, because a baseball fight usually you got motherfuckers coming in from left field literally, and they're like the entire bullpen empties, and by the time the bullpen empty, the fight is over, but they're still jogging onto the field because they already started, so they can't turn around. There may have been a little bit of that here. It's like, all right, bro, I fucking left playing. It's 99. So what do we have? N64. We have GoldenEye, I guess. I stopped playing GoldenEye for this shit. I'm not turning around. I'm not
Yep.
gonna fight either, because if I get in a fight, my mom won't let me play GoldenEye. So it was a deterrent to show
A conflict
we
of
could roll
interests.
up on you. It's true. Conflict of interest. Is this
I have to
man
show
really
up,
worth GoldenEye?
but I have to play my N64. I gotta play my Nintendo.
Yeah, so I'm glad things didn't escalate. Um, and I'm sure this was handled amazing internally in a Catholic school.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll ask him about that tomorrow too.
Yeah, he went to Catholic school most of his life. Yeah, and it's a lot of people that didn't even go to the school, which is again like a baseball fight, because it ends up being a lot of people that have nothing to do with it. It ends up being like the third string bench coach versus like the utility infielder, and it's like y'all weren't even. You didn't get beamed in the bicep.
We forgot we paid you. What are you guys doing here?
It's like that meme with Thanos. I don't even know who you are. You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
uh, well,
Yeah.
everyone lived.
So
Thank God.
everyone lived. Holy Cross stayed holy. And
It is
nobody
an innocent cross.
it isn't it yeah. And nobody got crossed.
Not today.
Not today. Not today, Satan. Not today. Well, I guess this was not exactly a Smolic. I guess this was an average Brolic, which is almost an oxymoron. But yeah, we it's a good story. We're gonna add Stan's analysis to it tomorrow whenever this comes out, and so you'll hear some of the insider stuff happening. And Chris will have questions. He'll have many questions from me as well, out of, you know, because I put no fear in his heart. Um,
Never. Not even once.
he's gonna want me to do something ASAP about my chopped cheese views. Uh,
Goddamn right I will.
but yeah, I will not. But it'll still be a fun conversation. And yeah, and we'll learn more from Stan. And we'll learn, yeah, was there a prequel to this, a sequel? Where are they now? It's like those articles. Actually, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna ask him all of them. Like, so where are they now?
Yeah,
So,
that was gonna be one of my lead-in questions or
like,
outros.
which Hamlet in Long Island and which chapter of MAGA is Danny running? Please tell us. Let's avoid it. Yeah.
Let's find out.
So we learned peace is better than war, and pizza is better than everything else. That's all he needed. All the man needed to do to stay safe. Pizza and comedy. That's it.
That's it. And it's kept him safe so far.
And it's kept him safe so far, and me, for what it's worth. All right. Well, that was
See y'all
a lovely
soon.
brolic, and we'll add a little tail end to this brolic soon. All right. Peace, y'all.